So like the best puppeteer, I've got rather a lot of moving parts. So if there's any pauses and cursing, that's me and Docker and stuff. So I'm Mike Karthauser. I work in 3PL and do a lot of dev outside of work. So during the day, people know who I am. At night, I am Automica Labs. So let's go. So my talk today is about using Laravel Blueprint, which is a tool for rapid application development within Laravel framework. Does a load of cool stuff. I've been using it in some work I've been doing with some discovering some external APIs. So let me show you what I've got. So the pretext in Laravel, for those that have used it, you'd be aware of Artisan, and in Artisan there's a load of make commands that you can use to build out various parts of your application. So in this example here, I've got a make model, given the model name, and then I can use an all flag, and then it will create me a model, create me a factory for the model, create me the migration, makes me a seeder, makes me some requests, makes me a post controller, and then a post policy. The problem is, as you can see in there, most of those are tiny files and they're stubbed out. So that is great, it helps you along the way, but it's not quick enough, particularly when you're developing out. You might, like I say, just discovery phase at this point. It's time consuming to do this, and because it's time consuming, you have a tendency to kind of stick with the first thing that you've got, whereas actually you should go, well, let's throw it away and build it again. So what I've been using and came across a while back is Laravel Blueprint. So Laravel Blueprint is written by the same guys that run Laravel Shift. And for those familiar with Shift, Shift is a service that you can use to analyze and upgrade Laravel applications. So it reads through your code base, converts syntax either into the newer versions that you specify, does all the commits, run incrementally into Git. Very nice piece of kit. So this is kind of related, but almost the inverse of it. So what Blueprint does, once you've installed it, gives you a load more commands in Artisan. So the Artisan Blueprint, I've run Artisan Blueprint, and you can see the commands in the space. I'll just go through those as well. Predominantly you've got Blueprint in it, which is the creation, so that initially creates the draft file, which I'll talk about in a minute. And then you've got a Blueprint generate command, which runs through your draft file and generates, basically makes your runs through your recipe and makes the thing. And then you've also got Blueprint arrays, which is the opposite of generate, so it clears it back. And then you've also got a trace command here, which you can run on an existing application, and it makes Blueprint aware of your existing models and controllers, for example. So when you then do stuff that interacts with existing models, it knows what the relationships are and kind of keeps track of what's going on. So when you run Blueprint in it, you get this, which is basically basic file, just in YAML. It's quite nice YAML actually in this respect. So you can start off simple. Within the YAML file, you can define your models and controllers using human readable YAML syntax. It's the same verbs as you use in Laravel already. So here, familiar terms such as validate, save, and fire. It uses conventions for shorthand, so you don't need to specify IDs or create it, updated at. If you know what, using timestamps, so it will deal with that. It generates your models, controllers, will do factories, migrations, requests, events, jobs, and mailables, and also does your tests. So this is an example which is more complex. I mean, more complex than nothing, but in this case, we've got a post model, we've got a title, content field, publish that, and then we've got an index controller that renders in the front end. So you will render it, create a view file for you. The controller will return the index with a load of posts in the index or passing into the view, and then it's got a store method as well, which will accept a post request. Then it will send here, you can see it will send a review notification, so you can send it to the author of the post with the post body. You can dispatch a sync media event with posts. So for example, if you were syncing content up to S3, then you can fire a event, the new post, which will basically explain to whoever's listening to it that you've published a thing, flash a message, and then return back to the index. So that generates that amount of files. And the thing that's more significant compared to previously is, as you see in here now, the files are actually runnable. So you can see on there's our index view on the controller, store method here. This isn't everything, it's some of it. And you can see here as well in the post model, it knows that you've got IDs at integer and publish is a timestamp. It set your fillables. And then in the mailable here, you've got the mailable with the body. And then obviously on the store request, you've got the validation in there as well. So a lot quicker. I mean, literally that you run that's a single command that would generate all of that. So we're going to have a go. I'm not going to be as complex as this, but let's see how we go in the 5 or so minutes that we've got. So this is the draft that I'm going to work from. The draft we're doing here, first iteration of it, is a single index. So a single post model with a index endpoint. And in this case here, you can see I've got a resource here. So this is an API resource. So it will return JSON back to the view rather than using your view files and any of the sort of rendering views into your resource route. So let me magic my terminal. Let's see, what should we do this in? Let's do it from here. So all I've done here so far is, let's see, I'm going to do this from here. Yeah, sorry. Let's go, yeah, why not? What I've done so far here is I've just installed the packages. I've got Blueprint. I've also got the test assertions package, which is another little step, but those two kind of come together. So we'll just use these two there. And the only other thing as well is that I've got the app running. It's basically the Laravel install running in Sail, which is the Docker environment for Laravel. And I've also got my draft files within the application, so I don't need to copy and paste. So, and you'll also see me using a shortcut called SA, which is basically Sail Artisan. So that now means that if we go to here, so if I do SA there, and let me see, let's do it from, let's just use terminal. Okay, let's see where we are. Yeah. Sorry, live demo. And where's my Docker? Let's see how. probably help. Yeah, okay, right, let's see what we've got now. Maybe we'll use the... What's that in there? I'll kick my cell out, sorry. Oh. See what I've done to my composer file, my cell in there, yeah. Let's see where my Docker's up. Yep. That's it. Okay. Get a long hand down. That's fine. So we should see, right, there's a blueprint on there. So, okay, right. Back in the room. Let's make it bigger now, take advantage of that. You find my cursor. There we go. It's getting nice and big. Okay. Okay, so running blueprint in there now. You can see we've got these commands. Don't worry about that one yet, but we'll talk about that in a minute. So what I've got here is my example. So there's the one we were looking at. The one we're going to build here is this one. So this is this. This is the first one we're doing. So with blueprint, if you do, if you just use a draft.yaml, you don't need to specify the file ending. But in the case here, you can just point it to a file. So if I run this one here now, you can see we've generated these post controller, the factory, the migration, etc. from here. We should see in here a load of uncommitted files, but in here now, there's our post controller, there's our resource, still quite basic, but goes through to collection, migration, as we've seen, and then we've got a test for it as well. So in this instance, factoring in 3 items, returning the post index, asserting OK, and asserting a JSON structure. Obviously, you can flesh this out a little bit. What we'll also do here is have a look at I've got an API set up in Postman. So currently, we're here at that endpoint. Actually, I've already factored the data in for this. So what I need to do is reset that. So let me go for there. So with an artisan, we do a migrate fresh. Okay. All right, no what? Yeah. I think what I'll do is probably get rid of what have I got going here. I think I've got some migrations getting on here. So yeah, the side, I'll go into this in a minute, but actually, yeah, what we've got here is a little glitch in, because you see I've now got 2 posts. I've got 2 migrations here for the posts because I've run build twice. That's a bit of a pain. I'll go over that in a minute, but let's just get rid from there. So we can run this again here. We do migration. Okay, so migrate fresh then. So we're kind of back where we are. So yeah, and then from here, we've got the endpoint. Oh, actually, we haven't even got the endpoint. Yeah. All right. Yeah, I zeroed my zeroed my posts. I got rid of all of them where I wanted one of them. So let's run the build again off there. So we've got our post migration back again, and then migrate fresh. So that should give us our post table now. So there we go. And we've just got empty, no results, because obviously we haven't got any data in here yet. So we've got, we go to our draft again, which will be here. If we go to the second draft, which I'll show you in the IDE in a minute, what we're going to do here is run, get you out of the way, run this number 2, which is this seeder. So now what we've done is added the post seeder onto the bottom. If I run that again, you'll see now we've got the seeder is showing there, and then I can run db seed. So I'm looking sideways at it. It's just a okay, so that. Yeah, okay, so now we've seeded the database. If we go back to Postman now, okay, that's not amazing, but we've got that seeded data. So that's a quick iteration on the draft, but for be able to get that seeder, all I've had to do is add one line. So next what we're going to do, we'll add a status. So in this case, it's an enum, that's a new field onto there. What I would do first is, before I run it, is run the arrays, which basically rolls back, because clearly that's what I failed to do earlier. So that should be, and what you see in here now is, we go to uncommitted files, you see there's just basically the post collection in there. It's hanging around, doesn't remove that one for some reason, but that's not really too bad. Some of the ones that it doesn't remove, it will just overwrite, so it doesn't, it's the migrations which are the pain in the ass here. So if we now run the third file, which will be here, go and type 3, there we go, tab 3. So that now, run the same set again. If we do probably migrate fresh, yeah, that we probably need to do. We can just do migrate. Same issue then again, because we've already got the post model. So what we've got here is 2 post models in. So that's a bit of a pain. So let's skip out there for a minute and come back to here. So a little while back, someone turned up and was talking about paper cuts. So the paper cuts we've currently come across in Blueprint doesn't clean up after itself. One thing I haven't shown you as well in the roots file, doesn't clean up at all. So you can end up with, by the time I've hit build multiple times and forgot to erase, and I can have multiples in. Doesn't really matter because obviously like Laravel will deal with multiples in there, but it's not very clean. And the issue with the migrations, which we've came across a bit earlier than what I was expecting to show, but hey, shows that it is. So in the spirit of things, I wrote a package which is a bit cacky, but it provides the extra rebuild command. So we'll come back to that in a minute, but we'll just show from here. So the rebuild command here is a command, and what I'm doing is calling several artisan commands and a couple of extra steps. So what I'm doing, which is basically what I've been doing, should be doing, is running the arrays. Then I reset my file system. So basically I'm clearing out files that I don't need anymore. What I'm actually doing is I'm deleting the migrations directory or deleting the contents of the migrations directory, and then I'm copying over the files from the master branch of Laravel, so then it gives me what I should have had in the first place. Probably a smarter way of just, if it was committed, I could revert the commit, and then, but that works, and then I migrate fresh, and then I've got another command, reseed, which looks inside the seeders directory and then runs any of the seeders, so I don't need to call them directly. So let's go back into the demo, and what I should now do here is I should now be able to run rebuild, and so actually that's rebuilding on the, I've only been working with draft, so what I haven't done is given it an argument to say which draft file to run like we've just got. So there we go, there's an extra bit. So what I'll do here, we've obviously just done the status, so if I just rename this one to draft, then my my command will run it. So let's run that to there. So this draft file here now is adding a user to the post. So if we run rebuild again, what we should then see is it's cleared everything up, and now what we've got in, so if I, is also seeded as well. So if I hit in here now, we should see a user ID. We've got the status from last time. So that's pretty cool. Like I say, with that command, pretty basic. It's got no test coverage on it, 10 point releases, but it basically saves me from writing terminal commands and various things. So it just clears up, speeds up the flow. So what we're doing now is just add a couple of little steps onto here. I'm just going to copy this over. So the next thing we're doing here is adding a store method. Little caveat on here as well for anyone familiar with Postman or the CRSF issue. I've hacked the middleware out so that that works, and I don't need to pass tokens at this point. Works on my computer, but that's purely for demonstration purposes, and I wouldn't recommend using that in production. So let me get this out of the way. So now we've got this draft. So yeah, the extra bit here is this store, and we're validating the status, the title, the content, the user ID. We're saving it, and then we're responding with the post. So if we run that again, run rebuild again, we should now see what we should see actually in the, we go to the controller now that we've generated. HTTP controllers, API. We've now got a store method in here. So pretty basic at this point, but it's given us a request. If I click through into the request class, what is it, that one? You can see it's given us this validation as well. So that's pretty nice. It's also checking the user exists in the users table, which is a nice little thing. Obviously, you can see that this could be optimized, but it's going to work. So we go back into Postman again, show you on the post here. So I've got this, go to the endpoint, here's it's returned, and then in our index we should see our new, there you go, our new post there. So if we then go here to, actually, so we'll deal with that in a minute. So we want to see it separately. We haven't got an endpoint for it currently. So what is it doing? Actually, we already have, haven't we? Yeah. So yeah, I copied the one. So we've got a show endpoint route in here as well. I kind of I've skipped through the So we've now got our returning. So we got reasonably far in a few minutes. You know, 3 endpoints, a draft file that we can run again and we can iterate on. So if you're building out a project now, you can say, well, show it to your mate. What do you think? Work on, you know, and then instead of having to pass files around, you can pass a draft file around. So let's now good, we got that bit out of the way. Yes, go on, demo end. So yeah, there we go. So what you can also do in Blueprint is customize a whole lot of it. So there's a command, you can publish a vendor package, and what the vendor will do is give you the stubs. So basically everything that is generated in these files you can customize. And also you can see on the right, this comes out of the config file. All these separate generators that generate each of the steps can be customized as well. So if, for example, you're using Vue, you can switch your front end out to render your Vue components. You can switch it out for React. If you use Laravel Nova, there's an extension for building resources. So that makes things even more customizable. So in this case, you can then spend your time building and extending your stubs and your generators, and in which case then when you need to build the next thing, it's quick. And the whole premise behind it is you can get all your boilerplate done to a consistent standard, which then gives you the scope to go and do the customization, which is ultimately what you want to be doing. So yeah, in conclusion, Blueprint allows you to start working with an application. You can have a single YAML file, which is your recipe. It follows Laravel patterns and conventions, allows for rapid iterations of schema without getting too precious, full customization, and helps you get started quicker so you can build the bits you want. There's some resources there. I'll share these slides on my GitHub. And there's also, if anyone wants to laugh, you can look at the repository that I've done for the Blueprint helper. There is a number of contributions for Blueprint, but they are in various versions of Laravel. So there's one written from 2020, which is very nice, but it's on the version of Laravel that was out then. It's not future aware for some reason. So my next approach is to go around and kind of get these up, basically fork the repos and get them so they work with the new stuff. So that's me, and there's my shameless plug, and there's that bit.